Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach and we're going to work on these required properties. So this is the spot where we need to actually create a type if needed. Not only the type, but we're also going to want to create the construction of the mock, because that happens down here. And so what we're going to want to do is also create the initializer along with this and say, if you have an initializer, like I pass it into you, then when you do this, you have to do this. Otherwise, do the other thing, if that made any sense whatsoever. So we got to do it here in build. That's at least I figured out the place where we need to do this. Yeah, that's my notes. Yay. Okay. So any accessible instant properties that are required or have an init. So what we need to do here is we need to get my Lord, my son is loud when he plays. When he plays on the VR headset. var required init properties. So what we want is information type 2 mock properties get members. What am I doing wrong here? It's the mock type. Type. Get. Yeah, this is where you can't say properties. You have to say get members. Right. Of type property symbol. Where. Let's do that, put that up there. Now I need to say where it's either is required or, now this is not isn't it. There's a different way of doing this and I forgot what it was. Let's look at a property builder here. Because I think down here I have to say if the accessor, or yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. Other result is a property mockable result. I said there's one overload, but there isn't. Or get accessors equals getting a init. So that gets you, why are you, well, we know it's, so it's required or it's a init or it's a getting a init. And then we also need to say here, and is can be, wait, what? Can be seen by containing assembly. Containing assembly of invocation symbol. That's not what I want. What I want is like a mock information is when we validate it, we make sure it's not any of those, it's sealed, can't have open generics, it's not obsolete. We don't even check to see if it's accessible. So how do I actually use this? Well, from the compilation is okay. And we don't have that. Okay. So what we need here is compilation. We'll worry about that later. So those are all of the required init properties. Okay. And we're going to just say here too, array. Now, if, why are you doing that? If required init properties length is greater than 0, well, what we need to do is we need to generate the, what do we call this, that constructor properties class, and then generate the object initialization syntax that will be used in the instance methods. Okay, so those are the two things we actually need to do here. And when we call it in instance, like we'll generate the class here. But what we can do then is pass in a string that says like required init object initialization syntax. And then if that's greater than 0, then this build will use that string and say, well, do I need to generate one way or the other? Now, unfortunately, this one little line of code here, we're going to have to pull out and say, well, if you did it this way, now you have to do it a little bit different because reasons. Shoot. That's going to be a whole bunch of, we may need to break this write lines up into that section and then the stuff underneath, and then say right there, if it's this, then you write the lines. If not, okay, whatever. There's always a way. There is always a way. So now to generate the constructor property class, what we want is something like this. So the problem is that doing something like that, it's like I want a for each, but to do that within a raw string literal is unfortunate. So we'll say writer that we have to go the old way. So what the, yeah, that's what I want. Okay. And this is within the class. So this is okay to do this in here like this. Okay. We're going to do that. Yeah. Unfortunately, raw string literals are not templates. So you have to kind of do this still in certain cases. I mean, I could do write lines there or whatever, but, and now we say for each var property in that. Now I could also here, see, I could try to be smart enough to say, well, I've got all these init properties. So why don't I just create the string here as well for the object initialization syntax? But I'd like to do this all in one shot, but it might make more sense to do the constructor property class first and this one. That's 2 iterations over this. Not ideal, but that's okay. So here we're going to need to have a writer.writeLine that is going to be an interpolated string because it's going to say public. And then we need the type. I'm wondering if when I actually build properties, what do I actually say here? Well, we've already done it by that point. So let's come down here. We say build member. And at some point, we need to actually say the name of the property or the type of the property. We say property type get name. One thing I do want to put in here is when we say get the name, like this is still, gets the name of the type used for getting the name that will be used in a parameter name, which is a nested type. This will return file system out file transform. Yeah. I think that's really what we want is get referenceable name, even though we're not doing that there. So we want to say get referenceable name, except for the type of the property. And now you should know if I could spell. Oh, that's not the most ideal name, is it? Okay, so that gets us the name, and now we just need to put in the required init property name. Okay, and then here we're just going to always have a getter in it. Whoops, what? Hey. Come on now, be nice. So we want there, a get and a set. There. So we've made the constructor properties, we've indented, we make public, and now we need to do the initialization syntax. Now, how do we want to do this? How to do this? I'm trying to do this as one and done. I don't want to keep making the string syntax for this all the time. And I know I've done something where I make like a nested indented text writer. This is really kind of like a string builder, which I guess I could say var builder is equal to string builder dot append line. That would be nice because we want to have that in there. And then we also want to have a append line where we do that. Okay. And now what we want to say is same thing here. For each okay. Well, you know what, folks? I think I can do this. Required init object initialization syntax builder. How you like me now? Look at that name. What we want to do is put that here, and then we also want to put this here. And so here we want to say this monstrosity append line, except what we're going to do is we're going to throw a tab in there and then say self dot, and now we need to get the required init property name is equal to, and now what are we calling it? We're going to call the field, not the field, constructor properties dot required init property dot name, comma. There. So yeah, we could do this. So we're writing out the class, and then we're going to write out the syntax. And so what we want is a thing here, var equals string dot empty. Okay. Now, if we did this, at this point, we're going to say this is equal to this. Yep. Thank you. That's exactly what we want. Okay. And so this should just contain like a raw string literal, except we want to write out the lines. We're going to try that. I'm not quite sure that's going to work, but we're going to find out. Okay, so then we want to pass, we don't need to do this here anymore. And now we're going to pass this in here. And this is going to be string there. Okay, so now before we do this, we're going to say, yeah, what we're going to do here, you know, as much as I like raw string literals, there is a part of me that goes, I'm wondering if using a templating language in, or templating tool in Rocks would have some benefit because reasons. Because I don't want to repeat the raw string literal either and say it's equal to all this code or all this code. just curious. If I said, I thought switch expression out possible eyes. No, you wouldn't. No, no. Let's not do that. I really wanted just to say, like, I don't know here. I don't remember if right lines automatically resets it, like you're doing all your. But that's if we did an indentation to 0. If we don't pass that in, it doesn't automatically assume a plus and a minus. It just writes out like it is there. Even though you have no idea what I just did. Now I want to say if not string is, well, I can say if, oh my God, required does not equal string dot, because that we know it's either going to be something or it's going to be string dot empty. So if it's, why are you, oh, fine, length is equal to 0. Then what we're going to do is, yeah, because you'd have 2 there. We're going to say writer dot write lines, a right line of that. I don't know why you pushed that in there like that, but you did. Else, oh, yeah, we need these to light up. So in the case where you don't have any required parameters, you're good. Now, if you do, what you need to do is say, oh my God, why is it, it's like getting all messed up because, well, it's my fault. Except here you don't do that. And then you say writer dot write lines except, frick. Oh yeah, we could. In this case, yeah, that does work. Okay, so we could say here, write lines required object initialization syntax, except we say indentation is 2. Because we need to push it over 2 to do it. And then this will come back out. So in this case, it works. And then we finish this out by doing a writer.write lines, except here we're going to say init. So that lights up again. And there we go. Now we want to pull these over, yeah, because these want to be here. So, a little gross, a little ugly, a little ugly, a little gross. Now, by adding this in, this shouldn't have broken anything because we're not. Okay, wait, maybe it will. Because there are tests that we do have init in place. So, yeah, I forgot about that. And again, I want to make sure that when I come back up here, that when I'm looking for these are just on the type to mock. We don't care if they're mockable because they could be just public required, not virtual string name things. So we don't care. They just say they have to be required or init or get an init. And they have to be able to be seen by the containing assembly. Okay. Okay. I was watching Let's Game It Out stream, and he keeps doing that when he gets like frustrated. Okay. Okay. He just keeps saying that. I find his stream and his stuff really funny. Okay, so I think this is good enough. What I'm going to do is shut down, start up again, and see how many tests break. I'm guessing a couple do, but I'm only hoping that they break because they're noticing there's an init parameter there, and now they're generating the constructor properties class, and hopefully it's generating it with the right syntax and everything else. So I'm guessing there's going to be a couple tests breaking, but I'm hoping they're not breaking because I'm generating bad code. We'll see. Then hopefully once I clear all those out, I'll create a test for requireds, and then that should be good. Now, I just realized something. We do need to do this. I better not forget. We must do this for makes as well, because the makes could have a the makes could also have required in inits, and we want to give them the ability to do that. So we have to also do this with makes. Sometimes you just got to do things. All right, shut down, start up again, and I'll come back and we'll see what happened. Okay, one thing I forgot is here when you're creating all the parameters is you need to also include this, because one of the things that seems to be breaking a lot is the fact that you have this object initialization syntax, which we've created up here. We're saying self.property name equals construct. What's constructor properties? It doesn't know. So, oh, and we also need to do that. I forgot about that. So in here, when we say instance parameters, those are the rock instance parameters. We don't care about those. Those are for the constructor. These are just out here. Well, no. You're getting the parameters there, but you technically need another parameter here. And in this case, you need to say, if you had another one, you need to say comma that. The rock instance parameters don't matter. Those are the literal constructor parameters to the mock. And those are not these things. What we want to say is, yeah, var self parameter is equal to this. Because when I highlighted that, that also caught it there. Yes. So what we want to say is it's this, but then we want to say if this length is greater than 0, then we want to constructor, it's not parameters. What am I calling it up here? Constructor properties. Constructor properties. And it would do comma that if it had anything. Otherwise, we would say here string, and we, oh God, we need to be in one of these. Empty. There. Okay, so here we now put the self parameter in here. And then we say self parameter joined with all those. We say self parameter, which would have been, yeah, if you don't have any here, it's just string.empty comes out, you don't even notice it. But here it puts a comma, constructor properties, just like it ended with self there. And now that should work. Okay. So I think it would be nice if I had this as a constant, because then I don't have to, like, we'll put it as a well-known name or something like that. All right. Shut down, start up again, and I will see how far this builds. Okay, so we're definitely getting some errors with the integration tests. I'm guessing it's really not liking what I just did, because whatever I'm generating in well, so here's the thing. One of the things I realize I'm generating in code is this new parameter in the case where it needs to be there. And it should only be there when you have required or inits. It shouldn't be there otherwise. I mean, if you don't have this, you should never see it. You know, that length should be greater than 0, same thing. If it's equal to 0, you don't do anything different. That does that. You know, you only fall into these cases. Oh. Ooh. Yeah, this is what we want. Okay, that was wrong too. I just noticed that we want it to be at that indentation. So, okay. But yeah, we didn't want to return it again, so there's a couple things wrong. But I'm at time for this episode, so what I'm going to do is see if I can just run one of my code generation tests. I think I have one for properties, hopefully. What I'm noticing is that I have generator tests here for, yeah, property init create generator tests. It's actually probably a good one to run and just see, well, what did it do in here? So that's what I'm going to do in the next episode. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.